welcome to our first ever show here of what Seth and I are calling the ARU Collegiate Men's Breakdown, or hit us up with a better name because we've literally just came up with that on the spot. We want to say welcome to everyone who's viewing this video. We're trying to get a little bit of hype and publicity here for our college clubs, and this was just a sort of brainchild of the summer, maybe a couple too many beers for guys who already have too much on their plate. But here we are anyway, and we had a great 2021 in which IUP, Seth's IUP, brought home their first national championship, ARU's first national championship in sevens. And so we're looking ahead to a great 2020 campaign and getting started here this week really in earnest. And Seth, honestly, my favorite week of the year is week one.
Week one.
Although for you, it's week three.
Still preseason.
Still preseason. But we got a lot of teams actually that are starting to play for something that matters this week, at least a couple of them. And so we're kind of wading into that pool of competition. Certainly next week, the week of the 17th, everybody's into the fire. But we're a little bit of, maybe this is like college football's week 0, right? Where there's a couple games that matter and a bunch of fluff. Right? What do we think about that?
Yeah, so seems right.
All right. Yeah, I mean, we'll get into that. We'll leave that one alone for the moment. But, for those of you who are interested in this type of stuff, what we're kind of thinking about with this show is sort of a weekly recap of what's been going on in the ARU. One of the ideas I had this summer was, man, we got a lot of teams in this conference. We got something well over 1 million alumni from all of our different schools combined. Certainly not all of them played rugby, of course, but there's a big market for people who love college sports, and why not give them something else to consume? And so hopefully it's enjoyable. If it's not, blame somebody else or blame us. We don't care. But regardless, we got
give another look into the collegiate rugby. Just trying to give just two coaches perspective on the week that is and the week that was, and hopefully somebody finds some enjoyment out of it.
Absolutely. And so we're joined, myself, Marc Sanko here up at Clarion, what was formerly Clarion University. Now I am repping some throwback gear tonight. We are now, of course, Pennsylvania Western University at Clarion. And with me every week will be Seth Erwin at IUP. And so us state school boys got it for you. And if we slip up, again, you can blame the education, you can blame the equipment, you can blame the fact that we both have kids under the age of 4, and we're coaching and working full-time jobs. So blame whatever you want, but we're just going to have some fun and maybe some beers and whatever else happens to come along. But what we're going to do then is go right ahead, and so we don't waste any of your time, and kind of begin to recap what happened last weekend. And last weekend we had a couple of preseason matches across the ARU. Franciscan, University of Steubenville, sort of dipping their feet into the water here for the first time, took on a Pitt team with a nice 19-17 win over Pitt. And, of course, Seth, you guys played Pitt the week before, so
we did.
Give us a little insight as to what that means for Franciscan, maybe.
Yeah, it's a really good result. Coach Jason over there does a fantastic job coaching his guys up. They got John Thibault back, All-American last year with Franciscan. I believe he ran him out at number 12 again. Guy, every time he touches the ball, is a home run hitter. Has the ability to break away. Pitt side was really good. They were very technically sound. They played a really good game. So that's a huge result for Franciscan. Going into it, I think Jason graduated a lot of seniors and was really concerned about what they would put together, and I think both of us know pretty well he coaches them up. So, running that result out was great for him. A good stepping stone in. He takes on another D2 team this week, or he out of division again this week with a D2 team in WVU. So, that roster coming together for their first in-section match next week is going to be huge.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll touch on that in a minute. But you brought up WVU, so let's move on. They took on Bowling Green in a non-conference preseason game there. And frankly, I didn't catch the score, but I do know I think Bowling Green won.
I think Bowling Green won. I don't know if it was Bowling Green's first. If it was, that's a huge test. They're always, top 4, top 8 of D1 AA. They're a very competitive team. I know WVU they lost some of their key players, but they still have a couple left. Their number 8, which is their captain, he's a senior this year, Seamus. He's an absolute stud. Great defensive leader. He absolutely controls that 0 to 1 channel very well. If you try and pick and go, he's going to make you lose the game line pretty easily. Their kind of home run hitter, Sean Hennessy, is an Xavier kid. He plays fullback for him, and he just can take a game over. Last year in the ARU championship, when they were up against Kent State on day one, Sean did everything he could to keep WVU in that match. I think he had like 3 or 4 tries over 50 meters where he just was finding a seam and just gone. He battled some injuries in sevens, which I think kept WVU from kind of rising that sevens ranks. But, Coach Coffey's saying that, he's back healthy, so he should be doing some pretty good work in the 15s area. So that's going to be a good match for Franciscan. That will be a good, ARU rivalry. D1, they played a bunch of sevens together. As in the Eastern Conference, we played pretty much everywhere in like a crapshoot. So that's going to be a good matchup for both of them to kind of see where they are in the ranks of the ARU for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so not a great weekend for WVU fans. Starting the Thursday off with the backyard brawl at Acrisure Stadium, which, as a WVU grad, was and sitting in the end zone where the pick six ended up. Next to the student section was not a pretty time for me and a lot of our fellow WVU fans. And then, of course, rugby goes out and maybe a good game, but not the right side of the scoreboard against Bowling Green. So
still pretty
tough matches. But let's get to your match, IUP and Robert Morris. So another sort of crossover D2 small college. Robert Morris coming together for the first time this year. You guys had already had that match with Pitt. So tell us a little bit about what had happened in that game.
Yeah, that was absolutely the result of us having almost 5 weeks together already, and RMU having a half a week, and then playing a match. For us, it was really about getting a lot of freshmen a lot of playing time. RMU had some turnover where I think they graduated like 13 starters, which, as you know, is never an easy task. And we played them every week 0, every preseason. It's like a good friendly rivalry between Coach Crago and I where, we just get together. We rotate site every year. It just happened that this year we had been together, at least IUP, we had been together and we had been, practicing, and we had Pitt and, we had the national championship trophy presentation. So we're kind of riding high. And then, we adjusted our lineup a little bit and we started 6 freshmen against RMU, which for us was huge because, we got to set some of the seniors and some of the, upperclassmen that were nursing injuries and just trying to find depth. We're trying to find our depth. So I think RMU kind of fell to a lot of freshmen trying to earn their spot and trying to play, like we call it play so well I can't take you off the field, right? So I think a lot of those freshmen just had something to prove. So this weekend's lineup is going to be probably different again, but it's going to be, again, riddled with a lot of freshmen. It's definitely a match we circle on our calendar with Slippery Rock. So,
yeah,
Well,
before we leave last week here, talking about all your freshmen, player of the week for the ARU are week -1, I guess. We're calling this week 0.
Yep.
So week -1, player of the week. Why don't you give an announcement there since he's your guy?
Yeah, so the player of the week, what we did was we took it off to match reports. So if you haven't filled out or learned how to fill out your match report, please do so. This is where we're going to take the player of the week, since where we're going to get most of the information for these videos we're doing. It makes it a heck of a lot easier for us that we don't have to go out and search social media and find every bit of info. But this week's player of the week was nominated by Coach Crago. He's a freshman. He got his first start at number 9. He had 3 tries alongside his high school counterpart in Joey. They both had 3 as freshmen. That was pretty awesome. So this week's player of the week is Santino Fischio. He started at number 9, which for Santino wasn't easy, knowing that he had the ARU reigning All-American RJ Beach, who has been the number 9 since he came in as a freshman, on the pitch at the same exact time. So Santino definitely came to play and came to show what he has, and his game management is the 9. And then he made 2 of his tries were very long chase down support tries, where he just was in support with a guy that made a line break and was able to finish it off. So for us, that's huge. Getting these guys coming in first time playing the collegiate level and contributing was huge. Against RMU, I think 90% of our tries were from freshmen, which was awesome.
Wow. I mean, that's great. I mean, like you say, it's sort of reloading, I guess, for you guys at IUP, and that's a good thing. You got to get those freshmen some runs, and maybe the difference between a D2 and a small college is a little bit deeper bench there, which is envious for those of us down here in the small college realm. But it does make a big difference, and so good for him. Great to see a nice freshman get a -1 week ARU player of the week.
First player of the week.
And so, again, like Seth said, fill out your match reports this week and next week. That helps us pick these things out. Also helps us give scores and recaps of games, so we're not chasing it down. And let's now kind of go on to just sort of a little bit of housekeeping here, as the conference has experienced a little bit of change and growth since we last saw us last fall. So we've had some, I suppose this is conference contraction and not conference expansion. We'll get to the expansion part in a minute. But we had Wheeling University, our D1 school here, take off for the new Big Rivers Conference that NCR put together. And frankly speaking, and I think Seth would agree with this, that's where they belong. They're going to get much better competition up there. We loved having them. I mean, our guys, I know when we played them in sevens, loved the opportunity to see them playing, to play against them potentially, and really challenge themselves. But for those kids over there, this is the right move.
Yeah, it's absolutely needed. They were just running through the ARU D2. They actually had their week 1 last week, and I believe they fell to Queens 22-19, which is an awesome result.
Super close.
Yeah, awesome result.
Yeah.
I anticipate every match in that conference is going to be like it, where it's going to be, decided by a try or less each week. So
yeah,
for them, it was a needed move. We wish nothing but the best for Coach Mike and Wheeling and his program there and his growth. It's exciting to see what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah. And when a program's going to spend that type of money on, having a varsity rugby program, that's the type of competition that they should be getting for sure.
Yep.
We also saw our now fellow Pennsylvania Western School, formerly Cal U, but Pennsylvania Western California, take off and join Three Rivers. It's a better fit for them, they think, and so we wish them all the best in their new fall 2022 for them. But as I said, it's not just contraction. We had a lot of expansion actually in the ARU, and we brought in Frostburg State in the spring actually. Cal U actually left in the spring. Pennsylvania Western California left in the spring, and we brought in Frostburg to replace them. And they were a great fit immediately at small college level. I know you guys got to see them a lot in sevens, as you were saying, the sort of Eastern teams got to play a lot.
Yeah, I think,
but a good fit.
Yeah, that sevens conference was pretty fun. I mean, it was, the same teams pretty much week in and week out. So you kind of created like some, inter-conference, rivalries there that led up to the ARU Sevens Championship, which you guys hosted, and it was a great day. I think I was still peeling sunburn off from that day. But it was it was a great weekend for ARU rugby. We got to see how many teams actually qualified for the CRCs and got to go to nationals. Coach Kurt at Frostburg's going to do a bang-up job. He always said all sevens team at his team was really built for 15s, so it's going to be exciting to see what they do in their first ARU 15s playing in that small college Eastern division.
Yeah. Well, and you talk about rivalries. It was fun. Clarion and Frostburg played pretty tight games all spring. Heartbreakingly, yeah. And I will tell you, we had a problem. Kick it out of bounds, right? And our guys, every practice now, they end it this fall. Coach, we got to end on one last play, and they turn and they kick the ball out of bounds. So we're not going to have that problem this fall. But yeah, Frostburg and Clarion have developed a fun little back and forth, and so we're looking forward to that. We also added over the summer SUNY Fredonia State out of New York. Not actually that far out of our geographic footprint, realistically, just outside of Erie on your way up to Buffalo. And so, they were looking for a new home, kind of, for the upstate small college conference in New York, if that's what it's called. I think that's what it's called. They were on the way western edge, and I think it made travel hard. And so obviously being up there in Lake Erie, getting down to our Cleveland schools is pretty quick and easy drive. And then sort of our northern eastern schools are pretty close. And we're looking forward to it. They also fit, just generically speaking about the ARU, the ARU at the senior side covers Buffalo through eastern Ohio anyway. And so they fit pretty comfortably into that ARU footprint, I think. And then a couple developmental sides, too. Pennsylvania Western Edinboro, again. Now we've run through all three of them, so you should know by now. But Edinboro University, Pennsylvania Western developmental side, trying to get that off the ground this fall. And then University of Mount Union in Alliance, Ohio, added as a developmental side. So that's great. These developmental sides, we're not going to spend a ton of time talking about them today. But certainly, if there's some great games happening this fall, we'll try and spotlight those too. Because, listen, Clarion was developmental last year, and we had a great fall into a great spring, and now we're building numbers up, and we're looking really good and excited for a fall 15. So,
yeah, and I think both of those are going to benefit from the sevens that we have in the fall to kind of help gear those developmental teams to growth. I bet by the end of fall they're playing 15s matches against each other.
Yeah, I mean, both those schools are big enough that they should be able to draw enough students and get there. So we're excited about that. And, that's sort of the changes as we see them in the conference. And as we move forward here, we got a new D1, D2 competition. Our good friends down in Philippi, West Virginia, Alderson Bradeus is still sort of struggling to kind of find their footing, I think, this fall, and so they're taking the fall off of D2 competition.
Right, they're going to drop and play a 7 schedule to help kind of facilitate that growth. Yeah. I know Coach John's looking for a full-time men's coach to fill the program, so if anybody's looking to get into coaching that's in that area, reach out to him. He wants to have somebody that is taking it over, dedicated, 100% of the time to the men's program to help kind of to build that back up to 15s. So they're going to play in that developmental 7s of the eastern area, which I think is going to maybe have some of these, D2 school B sides in the mix. I know if we grow by probably 3 or 4 more players, then we'll be able to have a developmental B side play in the fall here. WVU has enough for a second side to play 7s. So, I know Coach John didn't make the decision, lately, and off the cuff. I know it kind of pained him to have to drop out of 15's competition, but it's growth of the program, and that's what we're kind of all about, is helping their teams grow and find their place. The other change here was Rio, the ARU small college champion last fall, has bumped up to D1. So they're going to be playing an independent D1 schedule this fall. What that basically entails is they're going to play all of the D2 teams to kind of help build a resume for D1 playoffs. They've filled some other weeks with like Notre Dame College. I think Marshall is on their schedule, and there's one more D1.
I think they have Cincinnati this weekend.
Cincinnati, that was it. So their growth has been crazy fast because they were only formed last fall. Brand new program. They went through a head coaching change already. So Coach Adrian's now taking over. He was with the team as the strength and conditioning coach. Now takes over the reins as the head coach. We actually get to see them in October for our Ruck Cancer event at IUP. So we'll get to actually see them and get to play them and, see their growth and hopefully, not give them too much of a resume builder with us, but, we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a little bit of change. I know there was, we spent the majority of the summer talking about what we're going to do as far as this Division II, and there were rumblings of taking teams really far out of our region. I think everyone's pretty happy that we've stayed where we are, basically.
Yeah, it became a logistical challenge. If we were taking on some of these teams where, IUP, we're kind of the outlier. We're the furthest east, not in ARU anymore, but the furthest east for Division II. And then there was teams, say, in Tennessee that were wanting to come in and play in the ARU, which would have made, middle drive 8 hours. Logistically, we just couldn't figure it out how to make it work. For the regular season, playoffs might have been a little bit easier. But they decided to stay their own conference. We have a 3-team conference going into it. Basically, what that entails for the NCR is we no longer have an automatic qualifier. We'll be in the round 1, so the first week of playoffs. We'll have a site to go to. We don't get an AQ into a regional. Still play rugby.
Gotcha.
Want to advance?
Well,
keep playing.
I'll tell you what, if this show takes off and, we can get some Big Ten style media rights, then let's travel, man. Let's do it.
I'm in.
But I'm not sure we're going to pull in quite $1 billion a year like the Big Ten.
Is that a sponsorship
Maybe.
already?
Maybe.
A sponsorship on week one show here?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hey, NBC, we're available. Well, before we go too far down that rabbit hole, we do have a lot of changes to our small college competition, and I think awesome changes. for what we have. Because of the additions of Frostburg and Fredonia, we were able to geographically split basically into an Ohio conference in the West, the ARU West, and a sort of eastern branch of the ARU, centered around sort of I-79, that sort of deal, although pretty much every team's east of that. But I guess that's not true. But anyway, so in the West, it's Baldwin Wallace, it's Case Western, it's John Carroll up in Cleveland, and Denison and Kenyon sort of outside of Columbus. And, that's actually a sneaky good division there. John Carroll wins the ARU Sevens in the spring and did really well in New Orleans. Case Western's a perennially good program. Mm-hmm. I think Baldwin Wallace is building well, and Denison had a good fall, and so did Kenyon. And so, I don't know if there's an easy game in that division, really.
I don't know. Talking to Coach Justin, I know they returned 14 out of 15 starters. So John Carroll, I think, is going to be a tough matchup for anybody. In Case is always good. They always have usually 5 or 6 football dropouts that come to play rugby. The guys we all hope to get.
Yeah.
They usually always have some of those where they convert them into rugby guys really quickly. So that conference is sneaky good. Denison, I think, struggled a little bit last year with numbers, but their numbers are back up. They're going to come in and ready to play. Same with Kenyon. They both had pretty solid sevens in the fall. So I think they're, that conference looks good. We usually, me personally, I don't see much of them, being that, we're D2 and we usually just cross over with the teams that we already have, the preseason matchups with, like RMU, sometimes you guys at Clarion, the Slippery Rocks every year. It's a must for IUP Slippery Rocks. So that Western Conference, I'm going to be excited to watch results week in and week out. Hopefully get some game film on them to see how they play. I wouldn't be surprised if, an All-American comes out of that conference at all.
Yeah. Well, and then in the East, we got 6 teams here. So we're a little unbalanced, 6 and 5. But, again, I think this is – you got some perennial powers in this division that make the road to win it pretty tough. But, Franciscan obviously being, as we just talked about at the start of the show, Franciscan looks pretty good already this year. Robert Morris, got to run in with you guys. Slippery Rock's always tough, gritty team. We'll see what Fredonia brings. I think, I've been sort of, following them on Instagram and talking with their captain, and they got good numbers and they're really excited about the fall. And then, like you say, Frostburg is going to be good. Kurt Baker's building a good program down there, and not to give everything away, but I think here at Clarion we're looking pretty solid. Numbers are very strong, and the kids learned a lot in sevens. We're returning 13 kids that had played in the spring in sevens, and so we're not lacking for experience. So that's probably the first time we can say that in about 7 to 8 years here at Clarion. But it's a great division, and frankly, honestly, whoever wins that division and plays the champion of the West, that's going to be a great college rugby game.
Yeah, I think it will. And that match is going to be November 5th. I think location's still to be determined. But yeah, the Eastern Conference, historically, Franciscan's always been in the top 2 to 3. RMU, I think Franciscan RMU rivalry is still really strong. Back in their old conference days, they were always 1-2, 1-2, and fighting each other for the AQ. Add in Slippery Rock, they kind of were on hiatus for a while. Coach Heasley came in, and he's built, up a great program there. Looking forward to actually playing on Slippery Rock campus for the first time since I was in college. Not playing, but being there,
Yeah.
So yeah, the division looks strong. Like I told you before, I expect you guys to do well. I don't see anything that would hold you guys back, minus kicking it out. But
I hope my guys are watching. I hope my guys are
had
watching.
to 3 opportunities more. But yeah, I mean, all these teams seem pretty good. RMU had a lot of turnover, but they were really athletic. I think the more Crago gets with them and is able to coach them up, they're just only going to get better. Just like any other RMU team, the result was a touch lopsided for us, but they never quit. They were still, hitting us behind the gain line and forcing us to work for everything. They actually put in 2 tries in the middle of the second half there to give us a lot of work. It showed us what we need to do defensively.
Yeah.
So Crago's gonna coach them up. Jason and them at Franciscan, they got the All-American back. They got their 10 back, I believe. I forget his name. It's off the tip of my tongue.
So all in all, a tough division, for sure. So that's kind of the breakdown of where we're at as the ARU, kind of what you can expect going forward for the next couple months here, and our division breakdown. And what we're really kind of hoping to do as we do this show is keep you abreast of what's going on across Division I, Division II, and our small college competitions. Give you your updated standings, and hopefully you can follow, and you're going to get real excited towards the end of the year as we have some tense matchups that are going to really matter for playoff positioning.
Next week we'll have our first infographic of an actual division with actual results. So next week either RMU is going to be the head of division or Clarion. So it's the only actual match.
Yeah, and so I think that's a great opportunity to just sort of do our little look ahead here of what's coming up this weekend in our aforenamed, whatever you want to say, week 0. We have, as we sort of mentioned at the top of the show, Franciscan and WVU in Morgantown, I do believe. And so, and again, another great match. I mean, God, I think I'm going to be terrified. I think everyone in small college should be terrified if Franciscan goes in and just beats up on WVU or even pulls out another win. I mean, that's a heck of a start of the year for Franciscan.
D1, D2.
Can they do it? Sure, they can, of course. But
yeah, Friday Night Lights. I think it's 7:30 kick. So Friday Night Lights for
what a game.
For a preseason match. That's awesome. I think, and
of course for WVU, it's a chance to sort of right the ship before they get into divisional play. So, we had mentioned also, I think it's this week that Rio has Cincinnati, and so that should be a good test for them. Their first chance to get out on the grass and see what they're made of this year. I know if you've been following them on social media, I felt like every other day they had a new commit they were talking about. So they should have a big team, and they should be ready to go. So definitely looking forward to that.
And that's great. And all their commits have rugby.
And then
so it's good. It's going to be exciting to see what they put together.
And then we go to the other preseason match. You guys at Slip, the Pashy rivalry is back. As you just said, first trip to IUP in a long, long time.
Yeah, it's first time I think.
Not to say you're old or anything.
Yeah, that's fair. It's my first time actually playing on Slippery Rock's campus since I think my freshman year. Now we've played them all the time, but it's always been like, at the old Cooper's Lake tournament or at Butler because it's kind of halfway. I think like we did a couple matches at Butler for the Grupp Memorial. Trying to build rugby at the high school level. We did it at Butler High School. I think we did like 4 or 5 of those. So it's good. We know going in, Coach Matt's going to have a great team. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's always fun, especially watching Hightower patrol the sidelines. It's always interesting to see when you help me when you walk past.
Can't miss him. Can't miss him.
Can't miss him. So it's one of our every year.
That'll be a great game.
It has to be on the schedule every year. It's IUP Slippery Rock. But what can get more fun than a college rivalry taken to the rugby field? So we're looking forward to it. We're looking. I know for us, we're probably gonna have a different lineup set. A little bit of changes, but nothing crazy.
Yeah. And then we get into some sort of small college on small college here. Fredonia State headed off to Baldwin Wallace, so they're going to make the trip down Lake Erie to Cleveland. I was texting with their captain today, and he was telling me that they're excited. Again, numbers are big. They're excited about kicking off their ARU campaign against Baldwin Wallace, and BW becomes the first West team to jump into action this year. So
that's going to be the first East-West crossover.
It's a very interesting game.
Yeah, the first East-West crossover.
Yeah.
So everybody should know that doesn't count for conference standings. It's just overall record. It does come into play later on with tiebreakers and things like that, but I don't think we'll ever go that far into tiebreakers. It's more of, they have 5 teams, we have 6. If there's a bye week, we get some crossover, get going with, easy travel in mind. So that's going to be the first East versus West of the year too. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But
now, because you just said we're not going to have to use any of the tiebreakers, we're going to have to use a tiebreaker this year. Because you just put that out there in the universe.
I said that too leading into the 7th championship about overtime rules, and I think the first match of the day was an overtime game. So why not? Why not jinx it? It's fine. Everything's on the website. Look at the website. It's all out there.
I guess the big game of the weekend's here in Clarion.
Match of the week, right?
Big match, right? I think it's got to be. It's the only one that really counts for anything. So RMU coming up to Clarion for the first East Divisional match. So for us, getting out of the gate right away, a big, important game we got to get. But, of course, you said RMU is athletic and tough, and they had a chance to sort of have their game last week, work out some kinks.
You're going in cold, right?
So we're expecting it to be. Right? We haven't had any matches yet. Labor Day is kind of tough to get guys to commit to staying in town. So
too nice.
We'll see. I hope it should be one heck of a game. So get yourselves up to Clarion, Pennsylvania at 1:00.
And this is
on Saturday, and we'll
first home 15s, like actual league 15s since when? 20.
I'm gonna hazard a guess at probably since 2016.
Okay.
I got here 2018, and the men's team was pretty much dead. They had a year before they said where they played with Allegheny College. So I'm going to guess 2016 was probably our last men's league 15 game.
Okay. So kind of a revitalization. You guys have a nice pitch.
Yeah.
We used it for 7s. That was a super nice pitch, regulation, a lot of space. So it should be fun. You live streaming? Or no?
We were probably not going to live stream, but we'll have a drone up in the air. We'll get some post game clips. Seth, we also have a shed. I'll just throw that out there. Maybe that's a great place to end the show.
I hear that Clarion has a nice shed. I'll just leave it at that.
This man was so jealous of our shed. I didn't know a shed was the thing to covet. But apparently, my friends.
I took pictures of it and sent it to our AD. That's all I know.
Well, on that note, my friends, on the importance of having a shed at your rugby pitch, I think this has been a wonderful first show. Get out, see some excellent rugby across our footprint this weekend. Fill out your match report so next weekend we'll have a little bit quicker show. We won't be giving you our season preview and all those things. We'll be recapping and we'll be looking ahead and looking ahead to a full slate.
Game clips, pictures, send them in. Clips are way cooler to watch than our two faces. So you get anything like
Way
that, send
cooler.
them in. If you have any complaints, please
Picture of a shed.
Heasley. Matt Heasley is our complaints department. He's the other competitions committee member here. So, email him, not us, because you'll hurt our feelings.
Yeah. Very fragile feelings. All right, folks. Enjoy your day, your night, whenever you're watching this. We'll see you on Saturday, and if not, we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Take care.